It's me again for the first of today's countries, and today we're on the Philippines. Now we're on Philippines, and yeah, here we go. The Philippines was named after King Philip II of Spain, who lived or reigned from 1556 to 1598, and was a Spanish colony for over 300 years. And today the Philippines are an archipelago of about 7,000 islands. Well, it was believed that during the last ice age they were joined to the mainland Asia by like a land bridge, the same way that the UK was connected to the rest of Europe by a land bridge and all, enabling us to kind of walk from mainland Asia to the Philippines. And the first people of the Philippines were hunter-gatherers, but between about 3000 and 2000 BC, people learned how to farm. We grew rice and domesticated animals. And from the 10th century AD, Filipinos were traded with China, and by about the 12th century AD, Arab merchants reached the Philippines and introduced Islam to the country. And then in 1521, Ferdinand Magellan sailed across the Pacific and he landed in the Philippines and claimed them for Spain. As Magellan baptized a chief called Humabon, and he hoped to make him a puppet ruler on behalf of the Spanish crown. As Magellan demanded that the other chiefs submit to Humabon, but one chief named Lapu refused, as Magellan led a force that crushed him. But the Spanish soldiers were left scattered and Magellan was eventually killed. But the Spaniards didn't exactly gain a foothold in the Philippines till 1565, when Miguel Lopez de Legazpi led an expedition which built a fort in Cebu. And later in 1571, a Spaniard named Luzon, and here where they would build a city of Intramuros. It's called Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines, which became the capital of the Philippines, and Spanish conquistadors marched inland and conquered Luzon, and it created a feudal system as Spaniards owned vast estates in the Philippines, and which were worked by Filipinos. And along with the conquistadors went friars and converted Filipinos to Catholicism, and the friars also built schools and universities. And the Spanish colony kind of brought prosperity to the Philippines for like those in the upper classes. And each year the Chinese exported goods such as silk, porcelain and lacquer to the Philippines, and from there they were re-exported to Mexico. And years passed eventually for the Philippines until 1762, as the British captured Manila and they held it for 2 years, but they handed it back in 1764 and under the terms of the Treaty of Paris, signed in 1763. And the years have passed uneventfully in the Philippines until and in 1872 there was a rebellion in Cavite, which was quickly defeated and crushed, but the nationalist feeling continued to grow, held by a writer named Jose Rizal from 1861 to 1896. He wrote two novels, Narimi Tangere, translating to Touch Me Not, and El Filibusterismo, which translates into the filibuster, which stroked the fires of nationalism. And in 1892, Jose Rizal founded a movement called Liga Filipina, which called for reform rather than a revolution, As a result, Rizal was arrested and exiled to Dapitan in Mindanao. Meanwhile, Andres Bonifacio formed a more extreme organisation called the Katipunan. In August 1896, they began a revolution, and Jose Rizal was accused of supporting the revolution, although he did not, and was executed on 30th December 1896. And his execution only inflamed the Filipino opinion. The revolution grew further. And in 1898, a war between the USA and Spain. And on 30th of April 1898, the Americans defeated the Spanish fleet in the Manila Bay. Meanwhile, the Filipino revolutionaries had surrounded Manila, and their leader, Emilio Aguinaldo, declared the Philippines independent on 12th of June, but as part of the peace treaty, Spain ceded the Philippines to the USA, and the Americans planned to take over. As war between the American forces and Manila and the Filipinos began on the 4th of February 1899, and the Filipino-American War lasted until 1902, when Aguinaldo was captured. As American rule to the Philippines was paternalistic, and the poor they called their policy benevolent assimilation, as they wanted to Americanize the Philippines, but never quite succeeded in it. But it did, do some supposed good, as many American teachers were sent to the Philippines in a ship called Thomas and did increase the literacy rate. And in 1935, the Philippines were made a Commonwealth and was semi-independent, as Manuel Quezon became president, and the USA promised that the Philippines would become completely independent in 1945. But World War II happened in that time, and in December 1941, Japan attacked the US fleet in Pearl Harbor. On the 10th of December in 1941, Japanese troops invaded the Philippines, and he captured Manila on the 2nd of January 1941. But by 6th of May 1942, all the Philippines were in Japanese hands. But the American troops returned to the Philippines in October 1944, and they recaptured Manila in February 1945. And the Philippines became independent on the 4th of July 1946, as Manuel Rosas was the first president of a newly independent nation. As Ferdinand Marcos, from 1917 to 1989, was elected president in 1965, and was re-elected 4 years later in 1969. However, the Philippines were dogged by poverty and inequality, and in the 1960s, land reform program began. However, peasants were infuriated by the slow progress, and communist insurgency began in the countryside. On the 21st of September 1972, Marcos declared martial law and imposed the curfew, suspending Congress and arrested opposition leaders. As Marcos' dictatorship was one that was incredibly corrupt, as Marcos and those closest to him became very wealthy. And in 1980, opposition leader Benicio Aquino went into exile in the USA, and when he returned on 21st of August 1983, he was shot, as Aquino became a martyr, and Filipinos were enraged by his murder. In February 1986, Marcos called an election, and the opposition united under Cory Aquino, the widow of Benigno, as Marcos claimed a victory which was a case of electoral fraud, as Cory Aquino claimed victory, but only people took to the streets to show their support for her, and the followers of Marcos deserted him. and he bowed to inevitable and went into exile. But things didn't exactly go smoothly for Corazon Agui. She survived 7 coup attempts. Furthermore, the American bases in the Philippines like Subic Bay, Naval Base and Clark Air Base were unpopular with many Filipinos and who felt they should go. In 1992, Mount Pinatubo erupted and covered Clark in volcanic ash, forcing the Americans to leave. And they left Subic Bay in 1993. And in 1992, Fidel Ramos became president, and he improved the infrastructure of the Philippines, including the supply of electricity. And industry was privatized, and the economy began to grow more rapidly. But by the end of the 1990s, the Philippine economy entered into something of a crisis, and in 1998, Joseph Estrada, known as Iraq, became president, as Estrada was accused of corruption and was impeached in November 2000, where Estrada was not convicted. Nevertheless, people demonstrated against him and the military withdrew its support. Estrada was forced to leave the office, and Vice President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo replaced him, and she was re-elected in 2004. And today is still kind of poor, but the economy might be growing though. And since 2010, the Philippine economy has been growing about 6% a year. There's reasons to be kind of optimistic about the future and all. And the population is about somewhere around 103 million. And moving on to language, the Philippines is an island nation that is located in the western Pacific Ocean, and in ancient times the islands were gradually populated by Austronesians, and European contact began in 1521, and when the Spanish explorer Ferdinand Magellan arrived and the first Spanish colony was established in 1565, the colony was marked again after 300 years of Spanish rule, and in 1989 the islands became US territory until 1946, when its independence was acknowledged. And today the Philippines is a ethnically diverse country, and because of this, over 150 languages can be heard there. Looking at the official language, during colonial rule, the official language of the islands was Spanish, even though the territory was ceded to the US at the end of the 19th century, and Spanish remained the lingua franca for another century or so. And in 1901, under US occupation, English became a language of the public school system. The Constitution of 1935 established both English and Spanish as the official languages of the country, with a note that Congress should nominate a native language with regional national standing. And as Congress voted to include Tagalog as a national language in 1937, as Tagalog became known as a Filipino in 1959, and the Constitution was again amended in 1973, naming Filipino and English as the official languages of the country. At the time, Congress decided that the new national language called Filipino should be developed, and when the Constitution was again amended in 1987, Filipino and English became the co-official languages, and English is primarily used in printed publications, such as newspapers and magazines. In addition to being one of the official languages of a country, Filipino is also a national language, and this language primarily consists of Tagalog, and some mix of other Philippine languages, and its public school teachers rely on Filipino to teach most classes, and it is the language of choice for televised media and cinema. Today it's become the lingua franca throughout the majority of the country, as well as in Philippine communities around the world. And there's about 21 languages that are spoken regionally, and they include Akalon, Basin, Bicol, Cebuano, Chavacano, Hiligayon, Benon, Ibanag, Ilocano, Ilonggo, Ivatan, Maranao, Tagalog, Kampanang, Pangang, Kinarea, Waray, Mangundanao, Panagasian, Sambal, Surigao, Tausug, and Yakan. Sorry if I botched any of that, but yeah, I don't exactly hear them every day, so I'm not exactly fluent in all names. And each of them represents a major indigenous language of the Philippines that are spoken in areas inhabited by large populations of native speakers. There's the majority of the regional languages being the Malayo-Polynesian language family subgroup, and this subgroup belongs to the Austronesian language family. And it's true that the exception of Chavacano, which is a Spanish-based Creole language, it is the only Spanish-based Creole language in Asia and has been spoken for around 400 years. And this makes the language one of the oldest Creole languages in the world, as Chavacano has an estimated 1.2 million speakers. And also all languages spoken in the Philippines are indigenous, as the country is home to a large number of immigrants as well, which is reflected in a wide variety of foreign affairs, and can include various Chinese languages like Mandarin, Cantonese and all that, Arabic, Japanese, Spanish, Malay, Tamil and Korean. Many regional languages here have borrowed loanwords from several of the named languages, and particularly for food and household items. And of these foreign languages of the Philippines, the Constitution requires that use of two to be encouraged on a voluntary basis, Spanish and Arabic and all. And yeah, moving on to legends. Philippine culture is rich in folklore. And one I'm going to talk about is a guava tree, or fruit is called bayabas in Tagalog, which is a language of the Philippines now and spoken when we talk about guava tree and fruit. And there is a legend about it. A long time ago, there was a king who ruled a rich, prosperous island, and he had all the things a king could ever ask for: power, wealth, and all the delicious food one could only imagine. And the king's name was Barabas, as King Barabas was a rude king and was overweight, indulging himself into all the foods available, hesitant to share, and his castle started to become filthy. And he spends most of the time sitting and eating with his bare hands. As he eats, he drips food on the floor and smiles mockingly at people around him, especially his servants. And people of the kingdom would approach him with requests to help, but he would always refuse. As he neglected his kingdom, people started to complain and starve. And after some time, an old hunchback woman showed up at the castle begging for food while the king was eating. The old lady asked for food as she was starving. And the king said, "Go away, I don't have anything, can't you see I'm eating?" And the old woman begged, "Please, my king, I am asking for anything that you could give me, as I am so hungry. Even a little piece of bread would do. Get out, you disgust me." The king as he belittled her. And the old woman stood up straight, casting aside her stooped posture. "I have heard much about you, and your kingdom is suffering." The tone of her voice had changed. It was no longer the voice of a weak old woman. "I asked for help, and you shoved me away. You have a lot for yourself, but when I only asked for a little food, you belittled me. you're selfish and no one loved you, and no one will remember you when you were gone. And the beggar disappeared. And after a few more days, the king slowly weakened and became sick. No one knew what was wrong with him, and he got weaker and weaker and lost much weight, and he looked older than his age. And soon after that, the king died. And as unfortunate and unexpected as it was, no one cried and nobody showed up at his burial, as he died alone. And where the king was buried, people noticed a strange plant growing, a plant they had never seen before. This plant soon grew into a tree, which bore around fruits that turned a yellowish colour when ripe. But the people also noticed that the fruit seemed to have grown a crown as it developed, which reminded them of a selfish, arrogant king. With the flesh of the fruit tastes like a little sour. It's just like the soft personality of the king towards them. But the people went to eat the fruit, which helped them with starvation. And because the tree was from the grave of King Barabbas, and his crown was just like the king, named the tree after him, Barabbas, which in time called Barabbas. And to this day it's still known as Barabbas, although the guava may have come from the root selfish king Barabbas. Guava, the fruit, is one of the fruits that offers many health benefits when it is eaten raw, as it's a good source of vitamin C. And leaves were made into tea and treats with many diseases, as well as from simple toothache to treating diarrhea, low blood sugar, and much more. And it's used among boys after circumcision in the Philippines. Maybe it's a way of a late king to make up for his wrongdoings. But yeah. I'll see you all tomorrow. Not tomorrow, I'll see you all very soon for the second and third countries for the day. Yeah, bye for now.